My name is Sergeant John Chafee, that's John, F like Frank, EE. So on July 8th, at about quarter after midnight, officers responded to a person shot call at the corner of West Brookhaven Drive and Capitol City Lane in northeast Atlanta. Upon arrival there, we found a person who had been shot. He was transported to the hospital, and at that time he was in critical condition. The preliminary investigation indicated that there were 4 victims that were leaving a nearby wedding reception. They were outside at that intersection waiting on an Uber driver when they were approached by a suspect who produced a firearm and demanded their personal property. They complied with him, and as he was returning to his vehicle, one of the victims followed him. At that point, the suspect turned around and fired 1 time, striking the victim. Investigators were able to determine that the vehicle used in this robbery was taken in a carjacking in Forest Park, and based on evidence and information gathered from that crime and evidence and information gathered from our incident, they were able to identify a suspect, and today we took him into custody. So we have 17-year-old Jaden Myrick in custody, and he has been charged with 3 counts of aggravated assault, 1 count of aggravated battery, and 1 count of possession of a firearm during the commission of a crime.
Is that the man in the video that you released from Forest Park?
We believe it is, yes.
That's Myrick.
That's the person we believe it is, yes.
Can you walk us through what you've been able to find out about what transpired from their end of things? You believe they stole a car, carjacked a car at Forest Park a couple of days earlier, and then what? Correct.
So what we know for sure is on July 6th, they were involved in this person was involved in a carjacking in Forest Park. And we know that that vehicle was identified as the suspect vehicle in our robbery and shooting. That occurred, so I believe the Forest Park incident was late on July 6th, and ours was just after midnight on July 8th. Anything in between that, I'm not really sure, and investigators will be looking at some of that to determine if anything else happened in between those times.
Yeah, that was going to be, do you think they could be linked to other crimes?
That's something we always look into, and it's certainly something we'll look into in this incident, just to see if they're related to anything else.
What's the latest
detective
on the search
work,
for
or what is
the
So at this point, we're still trying to identify the driver. We do not have him in custody. We do not have him identified positively at this point.
Was this detective work, or were there tips that came into play? Will someone be eligible for a reward, or do you know yet?
From my understanding, this was good old-fashioned detective work. They went out, put a lot of work into this, and were able to gather information from each of these crime scenes, and that's what led to the identity of this suspect. I don't believe we received all that many tips. I know yesterday afternoon I had heard that we had received only 1 tip from the information we put out. But our investigators were taking this very seriously. They put in a lot of hard work, and ultimately we were able to bring the shooter into custody.
Where was Jaden arrested, and can you walk us through how they found him and just how the arrest was made?
I don't have details on his arrest.
Was he arrested in Atlanta or somewhere else?
I'll have to get back to you on that. I'm not sure exactly where he was arrested.
But today?
He was arrested today, earlier today, and I don't know the exact time.
Can you talk about the seconds before the shooting? There was some information that Mr. Broder approached because he was attempting to get his license returned. Is that information consistent with what you've heard?
That I couldn't speak to. I'd have to look and see. I can speak with investigators and try to confirm that.
There was a 9mm shell found at the crime scene. Have you got any information about whether a gun was recovered when you arrested this guy?
I don't have any information on whether a firearm has been recovered in this case.
Do you know if he resisted arrest or if there were any issues getting?
No, I don't. Not that I believe. Not that I've heard, but I don't have any details really on that arrest.
Sergeant, these were 4 people who'd been celebrating a wedding.
Correct.
Who came outside to catch a ride to go back home. One of them visiting from Washington, D.C. What can you make of this, that this should happen in this city to some of our residents and to visitors?
A crime like this anywhere in the city is absolutely unacceptable. Our officers and our investigators took this very seriously. They put in a lot of hard work to get these people off the street, and ultimately at this point we've been able to make 1 arrest in this case. We believe we have the shooter in custody, and we're very pleased with the work that went into this and having him off the street.
Did they
Can you tell
abandon
us
that
if-
stolen car, or has the victim from the carjacking gotten his car back, or does the other suspect still have the car?
I know for a fact that the vehicle was recovered. I don't have details on exactly where or when.
What about the other items that were stolen? Did the victims, were they able to get their stuff back?
We did recover some items.
Okay, Mr. Meyer was brought here with an attempt to, I believe, interview him. Can you tell us whether he made any statement?
We won't go into specifics like that on this investigation at this point.
And do you know when he'll go before a judge, and will he be held without bond overnight?
You'll have to check with Fulton County on that. Any other questions?
Where do you go next on this?
So investigators will still be reviewing the case. We still have the driver of the vehicle to locate. So there's more work that goes into this.
Last we had heard, it was a white Dodge Charger that was,
I
is that
believe,
still the
I
description?
believe that was the vehicle
Oh,
that was
that's right, you
used. And we did,
recovered it.
yeah, we did
Okay.
recover it. It was a stolen, well, like I said, it was a stolen vehicle out of Forest Park, taken into carjacking, but that has since been recovered. So we're not looking for that. If anybody has any information that may lead to the identity of the driver in this case, we would absolutely like to hear that. Have them call Crime Stoppers.
Are you able to give us a little more details on the carjacking that happened?
I'd have to direct you to Forest Park on that to speak with authority on that. All right?
Thank you.
All right, I appreciate y'all.